Hey guys, very good evening to all of you. Welcome to the video number 413 and my name is Ajay. Uh, Today we are actually going to talk about, we're going to make a pretty awesome today code, very powerful code. It's basically a real example. It has come out from one of you, and so I'm extremely very happy, delighted today to record this video, because in this video you're actually not only going to see the if and the loops how to use in the Access VBA, but at the same time you will also see that basically if you have to work in the Access, then how you can use the Access VBA and you can make these kind of a project, right? So we're going to talk about, we're going to create here a user form. We are going to link that user form with the table. We are going to run some if and the loop conditions, and this is going to be a great fun. So I got this question from a subscriber whose name is Shankar Singh, and thank you Shankar for writing this question. So before I'm not going to read out this question. I think instead I just directly take you to this basically the table here. So this is the table which I have created the way actually it was given to me. So guys, now what we need to do is, let me first explain you the question. We have the invoice number, we have the customer, we have the total invoice amount, and payment collected is showing 0. The balance amount is something 0. Well, I will not touch this balance amount. What I actually want to do is, now if you look at this company called, let's say, Bosch, it's coming twice. It can come maybe, well, it's coming actually 3 times. In the snapshot actually it was coming 2 times. That's fine. Point is, the company keeps coming here, and you have a this basically data. You have this repetition, and you have the total invoice amount, which is 2000, then 1000, and then 1000. Total amount is 4000 basically. Now suppose if you get the payment from a customer and you want to really split that payment here. Suppose the Bosch, their client actually pays you 5000. Now 5000 should be adjusted against these each invoice amount. So here you got the payment 5000, so you're gonna actually do what? So 2000 will be, you would say that payment is collected. Then it should go to the next Bosch, not the skipping the company Flipkart. It checks here what is the amount, so it's again 1000. So that means if the customer has paid you 5000, 2000 is already gone. 2000 is adjusted against this invoice number 12345. So then the rest of the amount is also going to be adjusted with this against this 12347. So that means overall you have now basically adjusted 3000 out of the 5000 against these two invoices. Now finally again you have 1000. That's what you're gonna adjust it like this, in this way, right? And of course then 2000 is left. So for that 2000 we don't have any information. That's something the subscriber didn't talk about it. So basically his idea, actually, if you look at his comment, he's saying that the payment is received like this 28,000, and that's going to be adjusted here, this 25,350, and then another this 10,300, right? So in other words, if I say that, if I just say that I have actually made the payment, the client has made the payment of 3000, for example, then that means this 2000 invoice would be covered, and this is going to be covered. That's it. This will remain as it is, blank, because this if the client is has paid 3000, then that can be adjusted with these two bills only, right? And suppose if he has paid maybe 4000, then 2000 here, 1000 here, and 1000 here. That's how, right? And let's say if he has paid only 1000, then what would you like to do? Well, then I think if he has paid only 1000, then the first invoice amount, we would show here that the payment received is only 1000. That's it. The rest of the invoices will be left blank, and at the same time here also you can see that it doesn't say that it's all clear. It doesn't say 2000. And let's say if the payment is received 500, then obviously this 2000 invoice is cleared, and from here we will say that the 500. So we will basically subtract the left amount, that 500, from this invoice of the total 1000, invoice number 12347. So that's a kind of a basically a dashboard, you can say, or maybe a report we want to generate in this, right? So this is a very good example. We will definitely have a fun here. Now before I write anything, what I want to do is, first of all, let me give the idea. First of all, because I actually want to work only on the things like total invoice amount and this customer. I don't have to do I really don't have any concern with the invoice amount. I will collect my the data from my query, like the customer and the invoice number and the payment collected. I will extract this in the form of query. Okay, and then that table would hold. So for example, just go in the query. Let me just give you the kind of example. We will write this everything in the VBA. So this is the table I have entered, and now what I will do is I will add the customer, invoice amount and payment collected. When I run this, you get to see here all the these customers. So in my form, I will create a form, and in that form you just need to write the customer name and the total invoice amount, right? What needs to be adjusted, and then the query will pick up that particular customer ID, right? So we will connect it with the form. Once you have that form, so your query would look like some sort of like this. For example, I just write here the client name is Bosch. So I'm just going to run it. There we go. Right, so I think there's a typo mistake, so it's actually BOSCH. So I come back to the query. Let me go to the design view. Suppose this is, we are definitely going to link with the form, so that user should enter everything in the form, not in the query. But just trying to explain you guys right now before I do anything. Once you get this, the table, on this table in the VBA we will work. So for me, customer invoice amount and payment collected is the only thing which basically where I actually have to write the programming. Around these areas I will have to write the program. What I will do is, let's say the customer has paid 2500 rupees. So my first criteria would be check that 2500 is greater than this total invoice amount, which is 2000. If it is greater than that, what it has to do is it has to simply copy this and paste it here as a 2000. Because 2500 is greater than 2000, so that means this 2000 bill is going to be completely wiped off. It's going to be cleared, right? Now, at the same time, before it goes to the next record, what we will do is we will subtract that 2000, this 2000 from that 2500 payment, and then rest of the amount is going to be compared with this. Is it greater than that or not? So in this case, in the case of 2500 payment, the 500 amount is left, and I'm going to compare that 500 with this 1000. Is that greater than this payment? Of course 500 is not greater than 1000. So what should happen then this invoice amount, we should subtract the 500 from this amount, then the reverse will happen. So you're going to subtract 500 from this 1000 and you're going to show here as 500. At the same time, because now there is no amount left, there is no amount which you can carry forward because the customer paid only 2500, this would remain as it is and the loop should immediately stop. That's a kind of a trick we are going to apply here. Now for example, if I just explain you again, for example, the customer paid the full amount, which is 4000. So 4000, the comparison will happen with this amount first. Is it greater than 2000? Yes, it is greater than 2000. So what will happen here, get to see that the payment, the invoice amount here as 2000, right? So it will look like that the amount is cleared. Now 4000 minus 2000, so what is amount? The amount left is 2000. So is 2000 greater than 1000? Yes, it is. So if it is greater, then again show the same amount here, right? Because we want to show that this is also cleared, this is also collected. Now the last part is rest, obviously left is the 1000, right? Out of the 4000, 3000 is already adjusted. So here again you have a buffer and you're going to show this like this. So that means all the basically the payments are collected. That's what basically we are trying to do here, right? Just in case if you have a 3500 received, then 3500 should be compared with this 2000 first. So 3500 is greater than 2000. So what it should do, it will print here 2000, showing that this invoice is cancelled. Now this invoice is collected. It's done. Now out of the 3500, if you subtract 2000, the amount left is 1500, which is again greater than this second invoice 1000. So this 1000 is also cleared, and now the 500 amount is left. Now 500 is not greater than this the invoice amount. So that means this 1000 is going to, we're going to subtract the 500 from it, and we're going to write here 500 like this. And now obviously so in this way you can see here, so the payment all the payment, basically the 3500 is adjusted. At the same time, this says that, clearly says that against the invoice 1000 we have just received 500, the total amount. So that's the kind of stuff we are going to prepare. How are we going to do that, right? So the first thing which I'm going to do is, since you already have prepared this query, let's go to the SQL view. This is my SQL view, and this is I'm going to use in my VBA, guys. Okay, obviously in this SQL view you have the table name coming with the dots, which you actually don't have to use it really. So what we can do is I can simply remove this just for the ease, just to have a clarity on this, good clarity on this. So I just removed this, the square brackets and the table name, because I don't need it. I just have one table and I know that the table actually is this invoice original. So just write here these these basically the headers, the field headers, not the basically the table name. So that's how it is going to, this is how it is going to work, and that's how it looks like. Where for invoice, again I can remove this, so that's how it is going to look like, where your customer equals to USHC. That's how, basically the line you're going to write in the VBA. Okay. Now, before you do that, what we need to understand is that if you look at back at the table, these are also the headers, and I'm really not bothered about these headers because I'm not really going to be doing anything here. I will directly fetch out this header, this header, and this header in my VBA. I was telling you in the query, right? This is a kind of a query. I mean, this is the access query, but we will write everything in the VBA. So let's go and write the program in the VBA. I go to the Visual Basic and let's insert the Project Explorer and let's insert the module. Okay, so this is where we're going to start my project. So what is the first thing, guys, you would do? The first thing you would do is you would declare your database and the database where you want to work. So I'm going to declare this as a access object library, which is the technology I'm going to use to refer here. So you're going to write here as database, and this DB should be considered as current DB. And then we want a record set. You're going to write here as do record set. Record set I have explained in my this access VBA introduction series as well, that record set is basically nothing, it's just a piece of information. Okay, so you're going to write here dim rs as do record set. Okay, now set rs equals to db open record set. Now which record set you want to open? Well, I can open this invoice original, which is my table name, right? But I don't want to do that. Basically, this is how you write. So what happens in the memory of the access, this table will be open, but if this table gets open, I'm actually going to have all the tables coming here, right? So I'm not interested in that. Instead of that, what I will do, I will create a query here. So you're gonna create here one SQL query, dim str as a string, and then you're gonna write here str equals to. Now here, that's what exactly you're gonna write here, that select query. Select what is the headers of the customer. You want to select the customer. Then what is another header? You want to select the total invoice amount. And then there is another one which is, I think, the payment collected. So you're gonna write here payment collected. So this is the payment collected, and let me just check what is it, the payment collected. So you're gonna write here the payment collected. This is the same query which I showed you, in front of the access while running it. So if you know the basics of the access, you know how to make the queries, all these select queries, you know what I'm talking about. So that's what we want to do it. Payment collected. I think there is a spelling mistake. Yeah, from the table called invoice and original. Okay, now this is fine. Now this is so what actually I want to do now, you have to be here need to pay attention. Now this is going to select all the records if I just run it. Okay, and obviously you need to put it within the quotes like this, but I do not need all the the customer names. I don't need the Flipkart and all, maybe there could be other hundreds of those companies. So basically you need to write the where condition, and as you can see here, this is the where customer equals to this condition. So if I just copy this and just come back to the coding part, go here in the Visual Basic. So basically that's what you're writing, where customer equals to this Bosch. Now this customer would come from the selection from the form, because I never know which basically the customer my the payment would come. So payment can come from any company, right? It could be ABC company, right? So here what we're going to do, instead of this Bosch, I'm going to declare here my form. I'm gonna give the form name. So what you will do is you will create here a form. You go to the create and you create here quickly a form. So we're gonna create the form, and we have the form design. All right, so here you have the form design. So you're gonna write here one button which is going to be when you click on that button, it should run. Cancel it and just give it a name called you can just click directly here and you can write here submit. Okay, and of course we need the text box here, so I just go and find out where is the text box. This is, I think, my text box. I'm gonna write here the text box. This is my text box, and in this text one you can write what you want to do. So here actually I can write here the company name, so I'm gonna write here the company name. Okay, and so the company name would come here, and then there is another text box which we need to create, which should give us the total amount received. So I'm going to declare one more actually here, and here I will write in the text box that amount received. Right, so that's how the table would look like. Let me just show you the form. Sorry, beg your pardon. So I just want to maybe a little bit increase the width of this. All right, let's click on the view, and there we go. So here I will write my company, for example this company, and the amount which I have received, and when I click, everything should happen in this button. That's what basically my the planning is all about, guys. Now let's go back to this. So how are you going to actually write this? So your form, basically this is your form. Let me first close the name of the form. I don't like to give any name, it's just a one form, but you can give it a good name. So I just keep it form 1. That's it. Okay, now if you go to the design view of this form, if you look at this, if you click here on this control and you press F4, or maybe you go to the property sheet, like in the Excel VB, you go here, you will have a name of this, basically that the text box, which you can see here. It says here that basically the name is actually text1. Okay, so we actually can change this. If you want to change this, I can name it as txt maybe company. Okay, that's what I can give it a name, right? And similarly here, if I select this instead of this text3, why don't we give it a name called amount? It's always good to give the good naming convention. So once you have that, you just double click here, and then this in the property sheet, what you can do is you just go to this the event, and in the event, what I want to do is when anyone click on this button, what should happen, it should go in this basically the code, which is just click here, and this is where we're going to write the code. I'm gonna put the break code here. So whenever this button gets clicked, this entire macro which I was writing, actually they should actually call, they should get called. So basically I should actually cut this, and let me put the code here. Right, I don't think so we need the module. Let me remove the module. So anytime the user clicks here, this is what is going to run here, right? So here, this is the main important point. We're gonna make this dynamic. Now whatever the value the form in the form the user write, that should come here. So how are you going to do that? So instead of this equals to, you put it within the quotes, and then you join it with a single quotes like this, and then again you put it the and here you're going to write that form value. Okay, so this is how we write. We're going to write here forms, and then of course you put it within the square brackets like this. The form is basically it's a generic term, you have to use it like this, and then give the form name. Your form name is form1. You can see here that's my form name basically. So I just again put the square brackets, and then after this, what is the next thing you want to do? Well, the next thing I want to do is I want to basically write the form name. Okay, so the form control name, and if you remember the form text name, the control name was txt, I think the company. That was the name of it, right? That was the name of it, and of course with the dot word. Okay, so now let me see that if you're going to if you're going to create this or not. So after this, you just again put the and, because you got to write the single quotes like this. This is how it is going to happen, and so I guess all looks good here, but we are still getting some error here. Let me check. Okay, so I think that there's a no scale bracket. I forgot the scale bracket, so that's how you write it, and I click outside, and there we go. You can see here that all perfect. So what happens, what we did actually, to connect your query or maybe your VBA, this is how we write. You write the forms, and then you write the form name, and then dot the the field value, that the field basically the field name. This is how guys you write basically. That's basically a structure, and of course you put the square brackets here like this, and then again square bracket. So this is your basically the form name, right, which I'm writing here, form name. It could be anything now, right? This is, I'm just writing the generic syntax, that's how it is, and the field name, right? So that's why, that's what we did. Form 1 is my form 1 name. If I change my form name to ABC, then I got to write here ABC instead of the form 1, right? So that's how it is. Now so we want to now replace this invoice or original table name with my basically this string, which is str. Okay, because this is a SQL query, this is a select query basically, right? So when you run this, let's see what will happen. I'll be able to run this. So I'm just going to go here and I'm going to click on the view. This is your form. I just go and first of all let me write the correct spelling. So let's say this is Bosch, and I write here in the form, I come back to the form, I write here this, and then amount received, let's say I write here 2000, and I click on the submit. Let's see if it is going to run or not. Oh, there we go. I think the query ran, right? Oh no, it says the error. What is the error? The error is missing operator in query expression total invoice amount. All right, so we have some problem in the total invoice. Total invoice amount. Okay, so if I just hover my mouse here, that's how the it's gonna look like. Select customer and then comma total invoice amount and then comma payment collected from my invoice original table. Okay, so if I just put the watch code on this, let us see if we are able to get the form value which we have selected in the form, company basically Bosch. So that would be very interesting to see. You can see here that I got the customer equals to Bosch. So this is perfect. The only thing which is I think is not working is payment collected. So I want to check whether the spellings are correct or not. Payment collected, that's what it is all about, right? So I just go to the database tool again and let me see that payment collected. So payment collected. So let me just, yeah, that's how it is. All right, so we have here collected from invoice. All right, so I think if I just run this again, okay, it shows the error in the total invoice amount. Okay, so total invoice amount, what is the problem with the total invoice amount? It's spellings. I want to check the spellings. EINVOICEAMT, and I think the spellings are also correct. Total invoice amount. Maybe we can do one thing. Let me just reset the code. And you remember this query which we created, this query? Maybe here we can go and if I just go ahead and remove these scale brackets like this. Okay, and because I'm not writing this query, I'm not creating this query in the Access front end. So that's your basically total invoice amount. I just copy this and go back to the Visual Basic. So here total invoice amount, I'm going to write it like this, total invoice amount. Let's run this again. Let me reset the code. Let's see that can run this. I just close this. I'm going to run this. I go back to the form, I submit. There we go. All right, now it says again the total invoice amount. So the missing operator, so the problem is something else. Let's just check that. So select customer total invoice amount and then the comma payment collected from my invoice original where customer equals to I think the error comes because I just didn't actually enter the square bracket, because when you have a space between your field names, it's always preferable, you should actually use these the square bracket. So these are all fields where we have this kind of a the problem. So that's how I think I should be writing this code. So let me just run this again, guys. Let's go to the form and let me hit on the submit. Right, the Microsoft Access database engine cannot find the input table, this invoice. Okay, so what's wrong with this? Okay, so I think I should put the bracket here as well. That's how it is. And if I just run this again, right, there we go. You can see here we got it, guys. So finally the query actually ran, right? When the query ran, so it's all about actually the square bracket. We should have you know, put these square brackets with every field where especially you have a space. If you don't have a space like in the customer, then there is no need. That's fine, right? We are done with that. Important point in this is that when you run this query, if I show you this again, look at this. Well, I can close this, basically the query. I don't need this. So this is also the table. That's fine. And by the way, let's just delete everything from these. This is a kind of this is a blank table basically. So create the backup of it before you start testing. You should create the backup of it. Now when you hit on the submit, so that's how the query is gonna look like. Look at this. If I put the watch code on this query, let me show you. So this is the query. You can see here, right? It looks perfect. You can see that the customer which the user has selected, that's basically showing here. It's showing here this Bosch customer, right, from this basically the form. So now when you run this is how it's gonna run. So now in your memory, basically this information is there. So as I was telling you, when I was making that query, that's exactly how the it is going to be registered in the memory in that kind of a pattern, right? So once you have that thing, now you will actually go ahead and run the loop, and you will loop through here one by one. So you're gonna say that do while your record set is not empty. So I'm gonna write here end of while. This is what you will write, because remember your record set contains the three headers. One is the customer, the second is invoice amount, and the third one is the payment collected. This is what we're gonna write here. One by one we are going to check everything. So of course you can declare one variable as well here, which is var, or maybe you can say that amount amt as long, and this amt it actually should be equals to your this value, whatever the you will write in the form. So this is what you're going to write. So I just copy this and I'm going to write here this, but with the change called txt amount. If you remember, txt amount basically it's my this amount. This is the one. If I just go take you to back to the design view, if you remember this amount received, that you go to the this maybe all txt amount, that's the name you have given to this control, right? So that's why we are referring to this txt amount, and multiply it with 1 so that it should be back into a number, right? Because sometimes what happens when you take the value from the text boxes, they becomes the string, right? So number can come in within the quote. So that's how you write it. Now this amount, we are going to do the comparison over here one by one. So as I said that if you remember, I just take you back to my invoice original data. This is the total invoice amount. We actually were going to do the comparison here. So let's just create some space here, and then we will start writing the code. So the first thing which I will write here is that if the amount basically, if it is greater than or equals to my this record set field, we're going to write the field name here, fields. And what is the field name? The field name obviously is total invoice amount, okay, dot value. This is how we're going to write it, dot value, right? If it is greater than that, I forgot to put the double quotes here. So if it is greater than or equals to that, then what should happen? Then you're basically the new header, which is record fields, which is the payment collected, put it within the quotes, and here also, then that value has to be equals to exactly your this value, right? Because if the amount is greater than that, if your amount is the amount which is received from the client, that is greater than this 2000, for example in this case 2000, then the payment collected has to be equally this has to be copied here and pasted here, because the amount which the client has paid, that's greater than the amount invoice amount for this particular first invoice number. So that's what I'm actually writing here, right? So this is how write here basically the first condition, the payment collected, okay. So once you do that, what is the next thing you want to do? Well, next thing you want to do is, before you go to the next row means before you search for the next this 1000, you would like to you know see that what is left now, what is the left amount, which is the AMT. So here you will write here that the AMT is the new AMT is going to be equals to what. So the new AMT is going to be equals to your basically AMT, the total amount which was given by the customer, minus the field which is, which we have written here as the payment collected. Right now, whatever the amount is left, that is going to be adjusted in the next step. Right, this is how it is. Now, important thing, when you're going to edit this record, this line basically is going to change the value. This line is going to put here 2000 if the customer pays 5000, right? 2000 would come here, but that's not how it is going to come unless you write here rs.edit, because you want to edit the record set. And after you edit the record set, just ensure that you should update it as well, rs.update, so that that number can be updated in this payment collect, right? And then the amount should be, obviously, that's how it is going to be done. New amount would come, which would be which would have this 2000 minus from it. So what if the another condition is else, if the amount is less than this basically 2000? So what if the customer paid you only 500, overall 500? Then obviously here you will get to see that 1500. Here what you will get to see is that basically here you will get to see that the particular amount which actually the customer has, the paid, which is going to be obviously the 500, right? Because 500 is less than this the 2000, right? So here what you're going to do is in this else condition, if the amount is less than this total invoice amount, then you will simply go ahead and you will simply write here that this basically the field payment collected, it has to be equals to what? You will write here it has to be equals to your amount, whatever the amount is there, right? And then after this, because you know that if the amount is going to be less than this, that means the money is gone now, the payment is adjusted now. So the next step you would do is you're going to make that amount as 0, and before this also you're going to edit the information, and then you're going to actually update the information here like this, update, right? And when you run this record here, you will put one condition that any point in time if the amount is going to be equals to 0, then please exit, because when the amount is going to be 0, that means you have adjusted all the amount received from the client with all your invoices. Okay, so when we run this, then I think we can have a understanding of this. So the first thing is I'm going to put the break code here, which is already, the break code is already there. So let's go ahead now. Let's assume that the client for this Bosch company has paid guys let's say 500 rupees, for example. So I'm gonna run this. This is the form I will open, and then I will just write here 500. I'm gonna write here 500, and then we're going to hit on the submit. There we go. Loop without do. I think I forgot end if. Yeah, so I just write here end if. That is what the code is all about, right? So let's just go and run this. So there we go. What is the amount? You can see here the amount is coming as 500. Perfect, because the amount entered in the form was 500. So now this is going to retrieve the information. Now your record set is going to hold the customer and then invoice and the payment collected, right? That's it. It is blank right now. So we are going to run this now record set, which has actually 3 rows. Flipkart is not going to be added here, obviously, for the reason because this is the query which you have written. You can see here we are not actually fetching the information from all the records. We have actually given the criteria here, right? I hope you're getting my point, this criteria. So we have the records only for the Bosch company. So we're going to start this now. Know that the first time when this starts, amount is not 0 because we got the payment of 500. So definitely we will go ahead. This will not exit from it. Now 500, is it less than 200 or greater than 200? Obviously it is not greater than 200, so it goes in the else mode. Now once it goes in the else mode, I want to do is I want to say here that the payment, basically the payment which we have collected is actually only the 500. Okay, or maybe I would say that if you want to subtract the 500 from this 2000 and showing that basically the payment pending is, is going to be your this what do you call it, 1500, then that is also something which is you can write. I mean, you can write here this the same line, this rs dot fields payment collected equals to total invoice amount minus your amount. That's feasible, right? I'm just trying to give you the idea, but since it is a payment collected, so I will not actually write here 1500 because that's gonna give the wrong impression. Okay, so I go here and now look at this. The payment collected should be edited. It should be my 500, and it's not going to show here. The moment I write here update, it should come here as a 500. Okay, I need to just refresh that, and then I think maybe if I just refresh it, let me see that. Okay, maybe after the VBA code we will see to that. Once the 500 is updated, adjusted, you don't have anything left, so keep your amount equals to 0. The amount comes 0 and the loop is gonna run again. It goes to the next record, which is again, which would be this record 1 2 3 4 7. Okay, but the amount comes 0 and the macro stops. When the macro stops, so what happens now, the macro stops. Let me come here, look at this. The moment I clicked here, you get to see here 500 amount, which is working, guys. This is really cool, right? So what is the next thing now? The next thing is, maybe let me see if I just write here 1500. We click on the submit. Let's run the code here again. Now we have now, this in this record set we have all the Bosch records, which is again 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 7, and 1 2 3 4 8. So again we will run. So amount, that it is 1500, it's not equals to 0. So definitely 1500 is again not greater than 2000. So what should happen? It should go in the else mode, and here it has to show as 1500 and updated. And I think we have here one called refresh as well. I'm not sure. Refresh is actually maybe I think p dot refresh got affected. Do cmd maybe refresh record. Yeah, that's a line I think. I just run this. Let me see that. Which is okay. Anyways, let's not get into that. Though you can see here that's coming here. 1500 is coming here. Right. So the amount is back to 0. This now the amount is finished, and we have it. That's how it is. So this is done. I think this is working. Now let's take some different example. Maybe I can write here now. Let's say I would write here 5000. You say. Let's just try that 5000. So there we go. You got the amount as 5000. Let's run this. The amount is not 5000. It goes here. Now 5000 is greater than obviously this value, which is 2000. So what will happen here? The record set will be edited, and the payment collected now should come here as 2000. This is exactly the invoice amount. Finally, you get to see here. Here you get to see 2000. Should see in a while, and at the same time, this you can see here that 2000 is coming. What is the left amount in the amount? 5000 was paid, 2000 we adjusted against this invoice 1 2 3 4 5, so 3000 is left. So that's what I'm going to do here. Subtract this, basically 2000 from this. So amount left is now 3000. It goes to the next. The next record it finds here 1 2 3 4 7 because of this query, right? This is my query basically. It's not a flip card. Remember this. Why I'm focusing this, because you might be confused. You should not get confused that we're going to capture the flip card. Yes, this is not a table. This is a customized query, and in this query we have written that all the records of the Bosch company should come. So the next record would be this 1 2 3 4 7. Now again, that amount is not 0, it is 3000. Is it greater than the next amount? The next amount is 2000. Okay, now here we are doing one mistake. Total invoice amount, how come it is 2000? It should have been 1000, isn't it? So I'll tell you the reason. Basically what happened, you updated this record, you forgot to go in the record set, the next record set. So here after your endif, before you go for the next loop, before you go for the next the record set, I'm sorry, not the loop, but here do while in the loop, here you should write here move next. so that you should go to the next record as well, right? Otherwise this is a kind of a problem you would face. So just reset the code and let me just delete that, and let's just run the code again. I go to the form, I have same information, press submit. There we go. Time I run it a little fast. You have here, like it said update. Update is going to update that payment, which is 5,000. 5,000 is going to be subtracted now from the 1,000. So there we go. Now, and if it should move to the now next record of your wash company. Let's go ahead and let's see that. Now, what is the amount? Amount left is 3,000, and here we see the comparison. Look at this, guys. This is coming correct now. It's not showing 2,000. 2,000, but the left amount is still greater than the next payment, the invoice number 1,000. So what should happen? This 1,000 should also be cleared. So it's again going to show here that this basically the payment collected should be 1,000, and we're gonna update it, right? What is the left amount? 3,000. From the 3,000, 1,000 again will be subtracted, because then you're left with this 1,000 only. Now again this would go to the next loop. So in the next record set, I mean when you press FA, now the next record again we have here amount as 2,000, right? So 2,000 is left, which is again greater than your this 1,000, which is this amount. So again you will have here 1,000 more, and it's gonna update here. And finally, when you look at this, everything is updated. Move next, and now I think there is nothing to go forward. That was the last record, and the loop finishes. So basically, if the customer has paid 5,000, this 2,000, 1,000 and 1,000 will be adjusted, obviously, because he has paid more, right? So I think when you read this, this is how you're going to read that the invoice amount was this, and the payment is collected for all these invoices. That's how it is, guys, right? So if you want to try one more thing, maybe if you want to try, let's say for something, let's say maybe 700. Okay, I just write here 700. So what should happen in the 700 of case? Let's just run this. Let's see that. So in the case of the 700, I think you should be able to see here payment collected is 700, and that's it. Nothing should happen then, because it's a very less payment, right? It's even lesser than the first invoice, so it cannot be adjusted with the rest of the invoices, right? So when you run this, you will go in the if condition, which would say that the amount is less than this. So amount is less than my invoice amount. So I go in the else mode, and here I'm just going to edit my this update this amount payment collected as 700, right? And then amount, I will have to make this 0, because now there's no amount. So this is a very important point, not to make it amount as 0. So move next. It goes to the next record, but the moment it runs the if condition, this is gonna exit from it, right? That's how code looks like. So if I just click outside here, you can see here it is showing here. So I think this is a fabulous code because of the fabulous question, not because I actually am recording this, but this is indeed, I mean, maybe you can adjust a lot of things here. Now I don't know what is your condition. Maybe you would like to go and say that, Ajay, why don't we just go ahead and at the same time write here the balance amount as well, which would be a subtraction of 2,000 to 700. Well, that you can do it now. It's very easy. I showed you the path. I showed you the loop, how the loop is going to work, right? This is how the loop is going to work, and what all you need to do is you're gonna write everything in these conditions here. So here where you're writing this payment collected equals to the total invoice amount. At the same time, you can write here rs.fields, and then basically the balance amount dot value has to be equals to then rs.field name total invoice amount minus total this rs.fields payment received, payment collected. In that way you can adjust all the things. That's how this code actually is going to be prepared. So that's it for now, guys. I hope you can pause this video and you can see this entire code. I hope you enjoyed this video, and that's why I said that Access VBA is very, very powerful, and it's actually very useful as well. The kind of the these invoices which you prepare in your telecom sector or maybe in your FMG companies, this is something which you can easily prepare in the Access. Access is my first choice if I have to deal with these kind of the invoices kind of things, right? So that's it for now, and we will talk about something else in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'll see you soon. Thank you so much. Bye bye.